Okay, so before we do that, I have something that I discovered that I want to show you here that we want to cover first. So if you recall, this is the grounds where the rally took place, and there's your two red barns. Here's the AGR building right here. And as you recall, Officer Gregg last saw the suspect sitting over here at the picnic bench, and then he disappeared into this little alleyway. And then this is where he jumped up on the roof and went from here, blah, 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 all the way down. The FBI statement today, when you read it, says, second, video obtained from a local business showed the subject climbed to the roof of the AGR complex approximately 6:05 p.m. Now, they had mentioned that at one of the hearings a month ago, and I had looked at all over the businesses, and I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find anything that resembled any security cameras on any of these businesses. But guess what? For some reason, I don't think I checked this one. So let's take a look over here real quick. I want to plant myself. I don't know if I can go in the parking lot there or not, but let's see. I think it'll only let me go on the street. And I don't know why I didn't really notice this place before. I should have. Because anytime I see an ice cream cone like this, you know I'm going to stop, no matter what. So anyway, I should have seen this before, but look at this. If I zoom in as close as I can get here on this King Cone's Castle ice cream shop, what do we have here? Looks like a security camera right there. Another security camera over here on the left. And then go to the far right of the roof line. You got it. Looks like another camera here and another camera here. Are we sure it's a camera? So I want to come over here and maybe see if I can't get into this parking lot. So right here, let's take a look at an angle. And oh, yeah. Sure enough, these are definitely security cameras sticking out right there. See those two there on the left? And this one right here on the right. Still unsure about this, but I'm going to assume it looks just like the other three, so we will assume that's a camera. So ladies and gentlemen, one of these cameras is the one that captured, what I think is what the FBI is saying, it captured the Trump shooter getting up on the roof. So if their report is correct, and if this is the business like I suspect, let's see its viewpoint angle of where it's looking. And as we spin around and look across the street, it's like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe this. It's the AGR building. And so let me kind of zoom back around here, catch it, and see if I get the whole building there. So those cameras were aimed straight across the street here at the AGR building. And it's likely one of those cameras caught him popping his head up and jumping up on top of the roof here. Now, if you remember, Officer Greg Nichols said he was in one of these windows right here on the second floor and was looking down and spotted him sitting at that picnic table where the Trump shooter got off of the picnic table, went around the corner, and at 6:06 p.m., which is about a minute from now, he got up onto the roof of the building by climbing the air conditioner. And I've showed you that in the past, and here it is again. In today's press conference, the FBI stated that the shooter got up on the roof at 6:05 p.m., whereas previously we were saying 6:06 p.m. And so today, the FBI also released this photograph showing the air conditioner, and they said that he had stepped up on the brown one on the right. Then the FBI had a comment or a caption on their photo, and it basically was stating that the subject accessed the roof by climbing on the tan machine on the far right side of the photo. And then there's a note here that says, this photo taken by FBI Pittsburgh is not an evidence photo. It was taken during a tour of the site in the days following the shooting. So now let's take a look at the first photo that the FBI gave us today of the shooter's rifle. So there it is. And that white lettering on there is their lettering that they added for inventory purposes. And so as you can see, it looks like a full-length rifle there. Now, the thing that's kind of stupid about this, here's the first thing I don't like about this picture already, is look how they set up the tape measure. You know, you don't start in the middle of the tape measure. You want to start it at 0 so you can easily see the length of this thing. Now you got to start doing numbers and calculating and subtracting and all that. And, you know, there's always a possibility for errors, but it just makes more sense, in my opinion, to start the tape measure at the one end of the rifle and then end it at the other end of the rifle. But let's take a little zoom in scan. Okay, so luckily they gave us a nice high resolution pic because look, we can zoom in pretty good in here to look at the details of what's going on here. So the thing I noticed here first is that it's all right. It's shown in the fully extended telescopic position here. So here's your collapsible stock, and it's shown, I believe it looks like it's all the way out. And so here you can see the big chunk that was taken out of it. So this seems to at least confirm the local SWAT member's testimony to Clay Higgins, who was on the Trump task force. And Clay Higgins had mentioned that when he interviewed the guy said that he was pretty sure, like 99% sure, that he hit the gun. I believe the shot damaged the buffer tube on Crooks's AR. I won't be certain of this until I can examine Crooks's rifle, but I'm 99% sure based on reliable eyewitnesses, ESU tactical officers who observed Crooks's rifle before the FBI harvested it as evidence. This means that if his AR buffer tube was damaged, Crooks's rifle wouldn't fire after his 8th shot. So he comes on to say Crooks went down from his firing position when shot number 9 was fired. That's the SWAT guy's shot. And the SWAT officer was certain of his hit. According to the ESU SWAT operator, Crooks recovered just after a few seconds and popped back up. And that this is where the shot ended up right here. And it took out chunks of the back end of the stock. And then there's a crack here. So I guess that's where they had mentioned in Clay Higgins' report how pieces of shrapnel here likely went up and hit the shooter in the shoulder and the face. And you can bet this probably hit him at a pretty good velocity. So you don't know really the extent of any cuts or bruises he might have had on his face. And that is likely what stunned him. Even if this gun is still fireable at this point, we still don't know. The FBI didn't give us any ballistic tests, so I'm hoping the ballistic tests come up later. But here it shows you what they've got on here. It's got the AEMS scope on there. And there's your track. And then if you come around the front here, there's what you're looking at. Let's see. They have a caption alongside this. Let's go take a look at it. So they also released the same photo of it, but with a caption. The rifle type, the make is DPMS Panther Arms. And the model is A15, and the caliber, of course, is the 5.56 by 45 millimeter / 223. You can argue whether they're the same or not. A lot of people loosely refer to these as the same, but there's videos out there that will tell you the subtle differences between the two. And it's a Remington semi-automatic. Now, the attachments on here are the Atlas R1 Aero Precision Picatinny rail. That's this rail right here. And the AEMS optics is attached to the rail right here. And this is a Magpul collapsible stock. And remember, they're showing it in the fully extended position. It probably come in about another, 4 to 6 inches or so. If they collapsed it, let me see, from 13, yeah, probably about 4 inches or so. Now, some people had specified to me earlier in the comments that even if they find the rifle with damage like this, it's probably going to be made up. That's what the conspiracy theory people are saying. This is going to be made up. This is fictitious. And the reason why they're saying that is this. So here's a photo I have. This is taken from one of the body cams showing the shooter's rifle sitting on the roof. And they're going to say, well, you didn't see any damage when it was on the roof. How in the world could you possibly tell from this? It's so grainy and pixelated and fuzzy and out of focus that you have to be directly pretty much on top of it like this with a high clear picture like this to even see it. Here on this picture, you remember the resolution is a lot smaller of what we have on here than the photos that were given us to it today. So we can't really tell by this picture. Now we have another one that I can show. Yeah, so there's the rifle shot at possibly a different angle. And it's pretty hard to tell because also I think we're looking at it edge on. We're not looking at it side on. However, this here does look to me like that chunk that's missing out of it. You see this ridge here? So I think that the people that were claiming that you can't tell that there's any damage on the roof, they might be mistaken. But here, this looks to me like that chunk that's cut out of the back end. See how close it comes to the tail there? So if we come back here and look at the damage again from the side, it's the same thing. See, I showed you this a few seconds ago, the damage real close to the tail. So I believe that we can indeed see the damage on the rifle here on the roof. So that should answer any of those claims where people are going to say that, oh, the rifle on the roof was in pristine condition. And then the other question that I get from people a lot is, remember, the shooter's body's over here. It's out of focus, so you can't even see it. There's pixels covering it. But he's essentially 1, 2, 3.5 lanes over from his gun, which is, so the gun should be approximately 6 feet away from him. And many people were asking, oh, come on, how did the gun suddenly get so far away from his body, blah, blah, blah. I mean, do these people really know nothing about how cops operate? And anytime there's a shooting and they take down a shooter, the very first thing they do is they move the gun far enough away from the body. Even if the guy looks like he's dead, they move the gun, because you just never know when the guy could be faking it, or he might be unconscious and then wake up and then pull the gun out and shoot you. It's just standard police operating procedure. When you take down the bad guy, you move the weapon. Sometimes you'll see them kick it away. Sometimes they'll just toss it a few feet away. So that's really what happened, was they just moved the rifle away from him. Okay, now here is a photo that the FBI also released today showing the gun and the Trump shooter's backpack as they recovered it off of the roof. And so what we're going to try to answer today is, really, can that gun fit in that backpack? Okay, now here's a question I have for you. And by the way, the orchid's back. A lot of you had noticed that it was taken out for the last couple of videos and got a lot of requests, bring back the orchid. So anyway, the question I have is regarding that damage on the back of the rifle. It looks like the buffer tube is still intact, though, if you look at it. As far as I can tell, I can't see any damage, so I don't know if it got rotated. Was the stock put on back in the exact same position or not? Is there maybe some internal damage to that tube? Maybe it got slightly warped or bent, just enough to maybe cause a jam or something. So those of you who know more about this than I do, I don't know much really about these rifles. What do you think? Do you think that tube is damaged enough to cause the gun to jam? Or do you think that maybe the shooter was just so stunned that he was sitting there for a few seconds going like, dude, what the heck? I wasn't expecting that to happen. And then the kill shot comes in. So let us know in the comments about that. That's going to be pretty interesting to figure that one out later on. I want to see the ballistics report as to whether this rifle is still fireable or not. And then right here, you can see these are some photos that were sent to me today from one of our subscribers who owns an AR-15. And he went ahead and assembled his, and you could see what the buffer tube is supposed to look like when it is fully assembled onto the rifle. So the question remains then is, not taking anything away from the SWAT officer, he hit the mark, but the question is did the bullet actually damage the buffer tube or not? Stay tuned for that one. So make sure, if you haven't checked out these other videos here, you can start here and binge watch them and catch up on the whole series here on the Trump assassination. Because I tell you, you do not want to miss out on any of those. We have the best information out there. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.